Brofari, Brofari.
Imagine something so important to you, you couldn't live your life without it. A thing that ruthlessly captivates your every thought, every waking hour, every breath, and for Brian, every step. Join International Brofari as we follow this man for the journey of a lifetime in the epic biography that is March of the Brian. Our quest begins deep in the Middle East, in the sprawling city of Jerusalem. This city, representing one of the great cultural epicenters of the world, as well as a vastly important religious location, acts as a natural hunting ground for the intrepid searcher. Presently, we observe Brian walking through one of the larger gatherings of sustenance stands, casually glancing back and forth. According to commonly agreed upon research, this is an activity he habitually participates in. Many biologists in higher scientific communities have begun to discuss in further the exact specifications his eyes and head require for constant strain of scrutinizing his movement. However, though it puts considerable stress on his body, he manages, through consumption of liquids and desirable solids, to regenerate. As you saw there, Brian traded the national currency in a transaction for some much needed edibles. In the vast majority of sightings with the Brian, he is seen with a mate of some form. Now much speculation surrounds the exact nature of this spouse of sorts, but it would appear, through extensive research, that he took a small portion of his life to court this creature. It is not exactly clear what the purpose of this counterpart is, but slowly progress is being made to unfold this mystery. Oh, it appears that Brian has noticed our camera. To avoid any hostility, our brave cameraman conceals himself for a few hours. In a rare moment of repose, we see the Brian in what has been speculated to be a contemplative state, or perhaps merely a rest to consider his next step. Whatever the exact purpose of this resting period is, it is apparent that it has an extremely re-energizing impact and promotes longer days of searching. As we observe here, Brian has just entered an aeroplane docking station. Like many of the things surrounding Brian, we do not have a clear idea of exactly how he affords this travel, but our lack of understanding will not stop him from journeying to yet another continent. In this case, the ancient city of Athens, in Greece. Wandering the streets of Athens, it is easy to misplace oneself. In fact, our co-director Dylan was tragically lost in a small market for the duration of Brian's trip to Greece. Brian, however, with an unsurpassed resolve, keeps on in search. As you just noticed, documentation is key to Brian's mission. From here, he plans a somewhat arduous journey to the comfortable town of Caldecott. There he will again resume his endless journey for that thing that captivates him. The draw of the Great Welsh Empire is found in its archaic architecture and even more ancient origins. It is commonly agreed that the inception of the Celtic and Welsh people dates back to the time of the first age of ice, behemoth glaciers and void-like crevasses. The country of Wales has always boasted of religious significance, with practices predating the engenderment of what is considered Western society. We can infer that perhaps Brian's ever-searching eye has turned to Wales because the importance of the Welsh land in many beliefs. Whatever the reason is for being brought here, you can see the yearning in his eyes to finally end the search. Whilst documenting the Brian, the crew put an immense effort into tracking and keeping a vigilant eye on the subject. This has allowed us to gather a vast amount of continual information pertaining to the mystery. Because of the massive funding behind this endeavour, we were able to surmise that in fact the Brian, contrary to most consensus gentium pertaining to the shroud of ambiguity around Brian, that is, we now know Brian is searching for something. In closing, we choose to commend him and say, search on, Brian, search on.
Alright, this is our friend James, and we are right now, we just got done in session recording our last bit of March of the Brian, and I just wanted to make it clear that he does not have that posh of an accent. And could you just say something like, how's it going, how are you doing?
How's it going? Actually, that's probably...
You sound great, James.
That probably sounded quite
We
posh.
love your accent.
It was pretty posh, but just thanks, James.
we just wanted to tell you that this, also that any comments made that...
Oh yeah, Britain is still a vast empire.
So that's all in good nature, and we just wanted to thank you, James.
Yeah, thanks.
Alright.
Thanks. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, bye. That was really necessary.